What is going on, guys? TCG here, bringing the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. Now, this is one that was requested from me from the Discord. If you want to make requests in the Discord's going to be down below. And I thought it was actually fairly interesting. And this deck was actually doing something at least 2 years ago. Damn, time's flying. But today I wanted to bring to you Gishki. Now, Gishki was meta relevant when it was first released in terms of hand looping with Gust Kraken, as well as when Sprite was first released because of Elf being able to loop a copy of Gishki Abyss. As well as around that time, Gishki also did get some new support cards and focused Aquamir and Evan Gishki and Narrow Manus. However, ever since Elf got hit on the list, Gishki really hasn't been doing much of anything. And I wanted to see if I was able to, try and do something with it. So today I bring to you Gishki. Now, the focus of this list, before I get into the card by card, isn't necessarily how Gishki was really playing before, either being Zealgigas Turbo or focusing on the Naramanus and focusing on like the Sprite plays backed up with this card. Instead, what I wanted to do is focus on the initial playstyle of Gishki, being Gust Kraken Handloops. This card, I'm going to mention this as the first card of the list, being you can ritual summon this card with any Gishki ritual. When it's ritual summoned, look at up to 2 random cards in our opponent's hand, and we can choose one of them to shuffle back into their deck, which is really, really strong. But one thing I would like to point out is this is a level 6 monster, as well as the other Gishki that's notable for loops, being Gishki Mind August, which again is also a level 6. And I wanted to pair those with our good friend, the Friendsmith, in order to make our loops significantly easier with Constellar Ptolemy M7, to add back the card we would like in order to continue our loop. So that's enough yapping about the overall deck profile. Let's go through the card by card. First off, we're on triple copies of Gishki Grimness. If we ritual summon exactly one water ritual monster with a card effect that requires use of monsters, this card can be the entirety of that tribute, which is not the only card in our list that does that. Grimness, Shadow, and Vision all do that, so I'm not going to mention it when I talk about those cards as well. And if this card is normal or special summon, we can special summon a Gishki from our deck except for itself, and we're only reluctant to attack with ritual monsters for the rest of the turn. We can use that effect of Grimness once per turn. So, this target we're going to be summoning off of Grimness is going to be our next card, being 2 copies of Gishki Abyss. When this card is summoned, we can add a Gishki monster with 1,000 or less defense from our deck to our hand, except for itself, and that is all the text on this card. As long as we can keep summoning Abyss over and over again, we are able to keep searching. Now, that was a little bit more relevant when Sprite was in meta with Sprite Elf being able to reborn this card from the graveyard, but without Elf, we're kind of hamstrung for options on how we're able to reborn this and get its effect multiple times. We're also on triple copies of Shadow, allowing us to discard this card to add a Gishki Ritual Spell card from our deck to our hand, and 2 copies of Vision, which does the exact same effect, except we can discard it to add a Gishki Ritual monster from our deck to our hand. For our ritual spells, we're on double copies of Gishki Necromir. This card can be used to ritual summon any Gishki Ritual monster, and must also tribute monsters from our hand or field whose total levels equal exactly the level of the monster that we're ritual summoning, or tribute 1 face-up monster our opponent controls. If we ritual summon using this card, we lose life points equal to the original attack of the monster we're ritual summoning. And if this card's in our graveyard, we can target a Gishki in our graveyard, place that card on top of the deck, and if we do, place this card on the bottom of the deck. Now, topping in like that form of recycling isn't really the best, to be honest. It's much better going second, but otherwise, it's just a ritual spell. That's good when we're going second. We're also on 2 copies of the original Gishki Aquamir. This card can be used to ritual summon any Gishki ritual monster. Must also tribute monsters from our hand or field whose total levels equal to exactly the level of the ritual monster we're ritual summoning. Then we can shuffle this card from the graveyard into the deck, then target our Gishki ritual monster in our graveyard and add that card back to our hand. Fantastic for recycling, which is also why we're on more copies of the thing that searches the ritual spell than we are of the ritual monster searcher, because we can search the ritual monsters with Gishki Abyss. We're also on triple copies of Focused Aquamir, a new support card. It's just Rhoda. Add a Gishki monster from our deck to our hand. During the end phase, if we control a water ritual, we can banish this card from our graveyard to set an Aquamir spell or trap directly from our deck or graveyard to our field, except for itself. And that second effect is a once per turn. Notably, the first effect is not. So if we open multiple copies, we're just able to search multiple Gishkis, which is honestly just fantastic. For our rituals, we're on one copy of Gishki Zilgigas. We can ritual summon this card with any Gishki ritual spell. Once per turn, we can pay 1k, draw a card. If we do, reveal it. If it was a Gishki monster, we can shuffle a card on the field into the deck, non-targeting, which is fantastic. Amazing going second card in removing cards from the board. And it's like a reverse Upstart Goblin. Instead of your opponent's gaining 1,000, we're losing 1,000. So, if we can keep recycling this, we can just draw through our deck and find all of our non-engine. We're also one copy of Ivigishki Naramanis, the new boss monster that was released alongside Grimness and Focused Aquamir. This card reads we can ritual summon this with any Gishki ritual spell. If it's ritual summoned, we can target a water in our graveyard and special summon it. So a great way of actually getting the Abyss to trigger once more. Although we do need to commit into this ritual, which is not ideally the first one we're going to be doing. Cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, and once per turn when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, we can bounce Gishki Ritual once we control the hand. If we do negate the activation, if we do shuffle it into the deck. Really good against Nibiru specifically if we were to be doing this first in our combo. We're also on one copy of Ivigishki Mind Augus. When this card is ritual summoned, target up to 5 cards in any graveyard and shuffle those targets into the deck. That's the end of the effect. Really good in a graveyard-centric focused meta, especially with Fiendsmith in the meta. Really great for shuffling back like a Lacrima and a Fiendsmith in Paradise into the deck, or at least forcing them to use it on the activation of Mind Augus. So, not necessarily the worst. And then, of course, we're on the triple Gust Kraken that I mentioned at the start of the video. We're also on one copy of Preparation of Rites, allowing us to add a level 7 or lower ritual monster from our deck to our hand, then allowing us to add a ritual spell from our graveyard to our hand as well. Not really the best. Again, we can add our ritual monsters with our Abyss and our Vision, so it's not really super critical. We're also able to add them off of Focus Aquamir, so we're not really super looking for an effect that will add the ritual monsters, but we're playing this because we were able to add a ritual spell from our graveyard to our hand as well, so it can come up in corner situations. We are on Fiendsmith because they are on level 6s. We're on Triple Engraver, 1 Lacrima, 1 Sanct, 1 Paradise, 1 Tract, and 1 copy of Fabled Lurie. For our hand trap mitigation tool, we're on 1 copy of Talons. And then for our hand traps that we're playing ourselves, we're trying to play as many as we can because we're ideally opting to potentially rip 2 to 3 cards out of our opponent's hand with Gust Kraken. We got to be reasonable here. We're not going to rip their whole hand, more than likely. We're just going to rip 2 or 3, and then we're going to set up what we can, although it's probably not going to be amazing. It's hopefully going to be enough in order to lock them out of the game. So for hand traps, we're on triple Ash, triple Veiler, triple Imperm, and double copies of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. In our extra deck, we're on 1 Moon, 1 Requiem, 1 Agnum, and 1 Sequence. We're on 1 copy of Rex Tremede. It's just a funny card we can play, to be completely honest. It's not, you don't have to play this. This is a card I'm playing because I like it. I think it's very funny and based. We're on Necroquip, Desiree, the Rex Tremede I mentioned previously, Constellar Tomi M7. This card is quite strong, and there is reason in order to play multiple copies of it because it is not a hard once per turn. But functionally, it just needs 2 level 6s. We can attach a material from this card, target a monster on the field or in either graveyard, and bounce that card to our hand, or whichever player's hand. The main thing is, this is going to allow us to recycle our Gust Kraken without having to use our Aqua Mirror effect, which is just fantastic, because if we don't use our Aqua Mirror, instead we use like a Necro Mirror, we're just straight up losing off on advantage. We're also on the DDD Wave High King Caesar, 1 copy of SP Little Knight, as well as IP Masquerena, and Dynamondo. All the other cards in our extra deck are, not really needed at all, so we do have about 4 free slots to be playing whatever we want, in which case I'm just putting flex options, being Abawaku, Fiendsmith, Rex Tremede, like I mentioned earlier, Access Code Talker, and I just wanted to make a quick nod over to the sprites that initially made the deck playable, with a copy of Sprite Sprint that does quite literally nothing for the strategy. That's going to be about it for the video, though. Thank you all so much for watching, if you still are. If you want to see like an actual game with this deck, just let me know in the comments, and I want to gauge your interest that way. If you do, I might do another video on this deck in the future. But again, that's going to be about it for me. Thank you all so much for watching, if you still are, and I'll be seeing you all later. Bye-bye! Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you wanted to talk to more Yu-Gi-Oh! Players like yourself, I would highly recommend checking out our Discord server. Link is going to be in the description, as well as the QR code on screen. We do talk somewhat frequently about Yu-Gi-Oh! And the current meta, so I would really enjoy to see you there. as well as we do recently now have channel memberships available on our YouTube channel, where we have 3 different tiers. We have Super Supporter at $2 a month, where you get loyalty badges, emojis, guaranteed comment responses, a shout out at the end of every video, as well as access to the members only Discord channel, where you get early sneak peeks at future videos. There is the Giga Supporter at $5 a month, where you have early access to all new videos about a day or two before they go up, as well as all the previous offers. And for $15 a month, we do have our final tier, which is going to be Femboy Fanatic. You get a guaranteed customized video every single month, as well as 1 hour of my time. Could be for anything you'd like. You want a duel? Absolutely. You want me to help build a deck? Absolutely. You want to play some Helldivers? Sure. I'll do anything for an hour once a month. But supporting does help me out quite a lot, and it does help me produce all of these videos. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be seeing y'all later. Bye bye.